but I also have to control the time as moderator. It's not easy. In fact, we are late, but that's typical of me at least, and also some programs. So I want to, with these reflections, introduce Sunčica Ostojić, that has been working since decades actually with Ivana, and who is going to exactly unfold a reflection about these exaggerations and these ruptures and disruptions. So Sunčica has a degree in art history and philosophy from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences in the University of Zagreb. In 2002, she founded the NGO Container, a Bureau of Contemporary Art Praxis, where she worked as curator. Currently, she's a PhD candidate in transdisciplinary studies of contemporary art. Enjoy the show because it's your show.
It's all our show.
Yeah, sure. So PhD candidate in transdisciplinary studies. So that's also very much what we are trying to do here, of contemporary art and media at the Faculty of Media and Communication in Belgrade. Her interests cover the field of the theory and practice of the extreme, extravagant, and radical art in 21st century. She's a guest lecturer at the Academy of Fine Arts in Zagreb, and we are looking forward to hearing and seeing and watching Sunčica.
Thank you all, and first of all, thank you for the invitation. I will begin my presentation with a bit of dark. Okay, and a bit of Ivana. So I hope you can all see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to present notes addressing the two possible modes actually of perceptual overload. One, a tectonic, and the other artistic. And they will be interpreted in relation to the concepts of exaggeration and intensity. Well, the reason for this seemingly contrasting comparison comes from a quest to find parallels between two experiences that overcharged my own perceptual capacities: an earthquake I've recently been through, and the artistic practice of Ivana Franke I've been experiencing for the last 2 decades. Thus, let me untangle this blend of ordered, mathematical, virtually constructed spaces with lights and the chaotic, organic, seismic waves who are both causing a severe push to sensations and, of course, perception. So how do the art of Ivana Franke and an earthquake relate to exaggeration? Well, to exaggerate means, as dictionaries defines, to enlarge beyond bounds or the truth, to increase beyond normal, and one exquisite definition states that to exaggerate means to delineate extravagantly. I'm very fond of this one. Well, in philosophy, these colloquial meanings develop beyond the inconvenience, the good manners, ethics, or drama that are commonly associated with it. Exaggeration is interpreted as a qualitative, not quantitative gesture of opening up and disclosing a world with potential to become world constituted by, I quote, transgression of a limit and the excess that cannot be recovered conceptually. This is the direction contemporary philosopher Alexander Garcia Titman contemplates about notion of exaggeration and whose thinking will be followed here. So exaggeration as an excess, a surplus, is a domain of the impossible, of abundance, of exposure to the new and the unknown. And as it is not within strict comprehensibility, abstraction that avoids definition is very much inherent to it. Therefore, access is more on the side of the affective than the analytical. It is a quality that glides beyond thought in the zone of that which is necessarily perceived through experience, of that which acts. So action can head in the direction of transcendence that becomes world-forming and can bring about the unease, for it slips through the known and leaves something unexplained. Well, other important feature of exaggeration, the transgression of a limit, means to make a kind of leap, a mental leap, I don't know, emotional leap, an affective leap that combine what is before and what is after the border. And only in that way create the new. Garcia Dittman introduces the concept of active exaggeration that does not understand a limit as a mere line of division, but as an overcoming. The limit makes way for an agent, for example, an artwork or a thought, to go beyond established frames. Thus, exaggeration has to be taken very seriously, as well as the norms, because exaggeration surpasses the given. Transgression of limitation, in consequence, creates an opening, something we've been talking a lot here, a crack that contains risk of arriving into the unknown that is overwhelming and cannot be systematized, that leaks all over, that excites ambivalent reactions, creates uncertainty, euphoria, tension, or satisfaction. For that reason, the mere moment of transgression is borderline for acceptance and is marked by either powerful resistance or acceptance, or both at the same time. Well, artistic projects of Ivana Franke are a profound example how exaggeration can open the world through interruption of attention, activating foremost the affective. Impact of her art is connected to the abstract, the unknown, and the possible of excess. And they are not quite cognitively tangible, but produce something constructively distinct. Well, initial impression of her works is that they are tranquil, subtle, harmless, minimal, aesthetically appealing objects, installations, or environments. But the smart manipulation of light and its frequencies, optical and mental illusions, reflections, disintegration and reintegration of reality, expansion of the mind, seeing what is not physically existing, evolves to the next level of experiencing and creating external and internal phenomena. She uses strategies of optically experiencing the artwork, that means with open eyes, but also mentally experiencing it with closed eyes. While seeing with closed eyes is an example of excess where the participant is immersed into the abundance of mental images, dreaming awake and hallucinating. Franke also actualizes the jump of the limitation, transgression, where fissures push perception to pulsate in resonance to a stimulus, merging the charted and the uncharted, the intangible and unintangible, into a surreal and complex experience of new possibilities. Perception is overstimulated by this shift. And all this exaggeration leaves the spectator simultaneously in the state of delicate and comfortable perceptual enjoyment, but also perceptual perplexity. What are we seeing? Then temporal and location confusion. When and where are we in the moment of observing the work? Well, in the earthquake, our perception is on the same level of stimulation But the uncontrolled tectonic excess of a strong earthquake produces a crude discomfort, lacking the aspect of world construction. The perception does not expand into the delight of affirmative surprise, but it becomes world destructive, fighting through an expanded field of misfortune. Earthquake is not the kind of experience one would willingly experience the world through. The characteristics of exaggeration is then the establishment of a powerful active field that is charged with intensity of experience. And here we come to the intensity, the other concept significant for Ivana's work, and the earthquake. The intensity is not thought here as a mere strong effect, but is understood in a sense used by philosopher Brian Massumi in his affect theory and incorporeal materialism. I quote Massumi, "L'affect is ability to affect and to be affected. It is a personal intensity corresponding to the passage of one experiential state of the body to another, and implying an augmentation or diminution of that body's capacity to act." So intensity is something involuntary, indeterminable, unpredictable, pre-linguistic, and non-conscious reactions of the body. It is full of charge that causes cut in a narrative construction of the world and works like a macro shock, as Massumi will put it. So it means, I don't know, your pupils can dilate, you get goosebumps, and so on. What is important is that it is in the domain of the virtual. And Gilles Deleuze would define virtual as real but abstract. So intensity is sensed by the body after cognitive processes take place. So it precedes discourse or emotions. It's filled with tendencies, potential, and it is in the area of resonance of the mind and the body, action and reaction, the depth and the surface of the body. Intensities are abstract activities of the body, the incorporeal aspect of the body, within which it is not possible to make a division of a purely physical and the purely mental. And also physical cannot be an area of something that he calls non-thinking. So affective intensity is thinking, feeling that is not rational, but leaves a trace. It is the activation of vitality, pushing the abundance of tendencies so that vitality would be related to change. Franke's work is rich in the Massumian intensity, influencing viewers' evolution of unconscious reactions, sensations to the familiar and the undiscovered dimensions of perception. Well, the result is inquisitive vitality prone to change, with the affinity towards transformation. The perception finds itself full of intensity, which have the potential to become diverse conscious reactions. In the earthquake, the Massumian effect is also activating precognitive bodily intensity and thus change, but it is a disturbing relation, creating panic, shock, and subsequently inactivity. Or as Massumi would put it, it's diminishing body's capacity to act. It is a destructive intensity, putting mind-body into the state of trauma, where perception is overstimulated and oversensitive, but unfocused and confused, lingering in crisis. Experience becomes out of control, mixing the reality of event, for example, how strong was the earthquake, with the perception of the event. One can imagine that it's the end of the world, that some strange creatures from the universe come and decided that we are all a surplus. In conclusion, both the earthquake and Ivana's work have a strong impact on perception in connection with exaggeration and intensity, the incorporeal of the body. But the power and the consequences of the impact are very different. Both open the potentiality for change, the unknown, the novel, creating ruptures in the flow of events and contribute to the multidimensional body-mind sensations. Franke's work in a way to build and expand the world by focused, active, full-bodied exaggeration, and tectonic act by loud, chaotic, empty exaggeration. Earthquake is not world-creating. It does not connect the before and the after. The processes it causes are reactive and unfocused, producing an adverse overload. Its intensities are disturbing, shattering the perception. When the earth is exaggerating, perception is filled with the negative aspect of intensity and exaggeration. On the other hand, Ivana's practice uses a strategy of exaggeration and intensity that are world-forming, open to the impossible and enabling vitality to unfold. Her artwork operates in the world which opens perception, cognition, and the body thinking of potentialities of designing a new space-time, engaging and changing perception, creating its multidimensional moments of affirmative overload. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunčica.
Thank you.
Yes, and to continue on these exaggerations that are taking again us into this luminosity that we want to explore, and especially the luminosity of these friendships across disciplines and across spaces.